A 12-year study has shown how effective it is to balance on one leg. It's a predictor of mortality and risk of stroke and dementia. For this study, participants were asked to balance for 10 seconds on each leg, and they were given 3 different tries. So in this practice, we'll test ourselves and do some yoga poses that will also improve our balance. Let's begin with the test. 10 seconds is a very short time. Rather than being on the mat, let's step off the mat so we feel very rooted, very grounded. So as you take most of your weight to your right foot, we'll begin. You don't have to be in a yoga pose, just stand on one leg. Let's begin. As you take your attention to your breath, with your gaze straight ahead. That's it. That's 10 seconds. Take your weight on your left leg and get firmly rooted in the left leg before beginning. Let's begin. You just stay attuned to your breath. All of your balance is on one leg. That's it. 10 seconds. 10 seconds feels like nothing. But let's now do some poses. We'll do some balance poses on 2 feet to just stabilize in order to gain a little bit more strength in our legs. So as you step onto the mat, step your right foot forward. Have your left foot back. Bend your left knee. Feels awkward, but it's a nice stretch to the Achilles tendon. With the left knee bent, bend your right knee as well. Inhale, take your arms up. Take your hands wide apart to open the chest nicely. Release your hands down. Now step your left foot forward. Step your right foot back. Lift your back heel. Bend your back knee. Bend your front knee. Inhale, reach your arms up. Take the hands nice and wide apart to open the chest nicely. Release your hands down. Step your back foot forward. Now step your left foot back again. This time, keep both legs nice and straight. Take your hands to your low back with your fingers spread, with your elbows hugging in toward one another. Lift your gaze up so you open the heart nicely. As you stay rooted through the back heel, just slowly come down in a forward fold. Don't go too deep. We're pulling the feet in toward the midline of your mat to keep a nice strong foundation while getting a nice stretch to the muscles in the back leg, a nice elongation of the spine. We're not rounding, we're just keeping a nice elongation. Root down to inhale and rise up. Step your back foot forward. Step your right foot back. Root down through the back heel. Take your hands to your low back. Hug your elbows in. Open the chest. Take your gaze up. Keep pulling the feet in toward the midline of the mat for stability as you draw slowly down. And keep the legs very active. The breath is very full. You root down through the back heel to inhale and lift yourself up. Release your hands, step your back foot forward and step off the mat. Now that we've balanced on 2 feet in yoga postures that require stability, let's balance on 1 foot again and apply the 10-second test. Because the participants got 3 chances, so should we. So as you take your weight to the right foot, let's begin with the right foot firmly planted You get this nice feeling of openness in the pose. Whatever yoga pose you choose, that's it. 10 seconds. Go to the opposite side. And as you root down through the left foot, let's begin. Maybe you can notice like what leg feels nice and stable. That's it, 10 seconds. Come to all fours position. We'll once again have the opportunity to balance. This time we'll be drawing from hands and knees. Take your right foot to the side. Take your left hand to the side. Line up the arch of the foot, the knee, the fingertips. Lift your leg up. Your balance is on your knee and your hand. See if you can express more fully. Reach your arm up. Keep your back leg lifted tall as you reach your arm over your head. So all the way from the foot to the fingertips. You feel this nice fullness in the pose. Release your hand and foot down. Come to all fours position so that you could trade sides as you line up the arch of the foot, the knee, the fingertips. You open the chest nicely. Lift your foot up. Lift your arm up. You get this nice fullness and reach over. Keep that nice fullness in the action. Nice ease to the breath. Nice softness there. Breathe in deep. Breathe out long. Release your hand and foot down. Come once again to a standing position. In the standing position, bend your knees. Lift your heels up. So now you're balancing on 2 feet, but it's more like a tiptoe. But those 2 feet, you're really feeling like you have to work the toes so that you don't fall forward or back. So as you press your toes, let your arms help you with the balance. Reach your arms up. Take your hands wider apart. Maybe you can bend your knees more. Still stay balanced on 2 feet. Maybe you can draw down a little bit lower. Keep a nice openness to the chest. Nice fullness to the breath. Draw your heels down so you stay rooted fully before inhale. Lifting yourself out of the pose. Release your hands. Now let's try a balance pose. The balance pose that we all probably learned in our first yoga class, tree pose, Vrksasana. We'll start balancing on the right leg as you draw energetically from the toes all the way to the pelvis to get a nice tone in the muscles of the leg. We'll be balancing for 1 minute and 8 seconds. And compared to that 10-second hold, it feels like a long time. So you can make any adjustments to the pose. You can maybe even keep your big toe down in a version of tree. If you can come to the full form of the pose, we'll begin. In whatever form of the pose that you decided to begin with, keep a nice ease to your breath, a nice softness to the gaze. If you can move the gaze from the floor to the middle of the room, to a more lifted quality at eye height, just see how you can perhaps use the arms to help you with your balance. Notice what muscles you feel like you're engaging. You're keeping a nice steadiness. That's 1 minute and 8 seconds. Let's take our weight to the left foot. And just pause for a moment. As you start to come toward the tree pose on this side, get a nice evenness to your breath, and we'll begin as you find that steadiness in the breath, in the form of the pose. You start to appreciate, now that we know that studies have shown the effectiveness of balancing on one leg. And one teacher always said to us, those of us that weren't so happy with balance poses in yoga classes, he always said, the more we balance on one leg, the longer we'll be vertical on two legs. And as you keep a nice evenness to the breath, a nice softness to your gaze, you start lifting your gaze, and that's 1 minute and 8 seconds. So you can come out of the pose. You come to balance on 2 feet. It feels so easy. After a longer hold in tree pose, the 1 minute, 8 second hold, our third try at 10 seconds is going to feel so simple. So let's try it. Place all your weight on your right foot, and however you'd like to just balance on your right foot, we begin. You have this easeful way of drawing your attention in the pose. That's it for 10 seconds on the right side. Take your weight to the left side. Get engagement from the toes to the pelvis. Let's begin. Remember your breath. That's it for 10 seconds. So you can release down. Practicing yoga balance poses every day clearly has an effect. Through this 12-year study, we learn its effects on our overall health and our aging. There's so many poses that give us an insight to our health. But this is a wonderful little test to practice repeatedly. Namaste.